Chosen one, listen carefully. This is not random. This is not something you just stumbled upon while scrolling, while passing time, while distracting yourself from what you know you're supposed to face. God put this in front of you to listen, and he did it fast because time matters now. There are moments when heaven whispers, and there are moments when heaven interrupts. This is an interruption. Something is shifting around you, and something is being demanded from you, not later, not when you feel ready, not when the conditions look perfect, but now, in this exact season of your life, you've been feeling it even if you couldn't put words to it. That pressure in your spirit, that restlessness when things are quiet, that sense that you can't go back to who you were, even if part of you misses the comfort of the old routines. You've outgrown the version of you that survived. Now God is calling forward the version of you that leads, that builds, that stands firm when everything else shakes. And that's why this message feels urgent, not rushed, but urgent. Because when God accelerates, it's not to stress you out, it's to pull you out of delay. You've spent enough time waiting for permission, waiting for signs that were already given, waiting for people to understand you before you move. But chosen ones don't move by consensus, they move by calling. And right now, your calling is louder than the opinions around you. God is saying, stop negotiating with fear. Stop explaining yourself to people who benefit from you staying small. Stop replaying old failures as if they still have authority over your future. They don't. They taught you. They trained you. They sharpened you. But they do not define you. There is a reason the pressure increased before the breakthrough. There is a reason resistance showed up right when you decided to change. Resistance is not a sign you're going the wrong way. For chosen ones, resistance is confirmation that you're stepping into territory that matters. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat, and you've become a threat to stagnation, to cycles, to generational limits that thought they would, and with you repeating the same story. But you're not repeating it, you're rewriting it. God put this in front of you fast because hesitation has been costing you more than failure ever would. You've been careful for too long, strategic for too long, silent for too long. And while wisdom matters, there's a difference between wisdom and fear dressed up as patience. God is not asking you to be reckless, he's asking you to be obedient. Obedience often feels fast because it bypasses overthinking. It moves before doubt can build a case. You don't need another year of preparation to start walking in what you already carry. You don't need 10 more confirmations to obey what keeps coming back to your heart. If it keeps returning, if it keeps stirring you, if it won't let you rest, that's not imagination, that's assignment. And assignments have timelines, not because God is harsh, but because alignment creates momentum, and momentum creates doors that won't stay open forever. Some of the doors in front of you are time sensitive. Not everything waits. Not every opportunity circles back. Some moments come once, disguised as inconvenience, pressure, or fear. And if you wait until you feel fearless, you'll miss them. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that obedience matters more than comfort. And right now, comfort has been your biggest delay. You've been strong for everyone else. You've shown up even when you were tired. You've carried burdens no one thanked you for. You've prayed prayers in silence that only God heard. And there were nights when you wondered if any of it mattered. It did. It does. Nothing you walked through was wasted. Even the seasons that felt like punishment were preparation. Even the losses that broke you were clearing space. God doesn't strip without intention. When he removes, it's because what's coming requires lighter hands and a clearer heart. That's why certain people had to fall away. That's why certain plans collapsed. That's why the path you thought you'd be on suddenly ended. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. You couldn't carry old attachments into new territory. They would have slowed you down. They would have pulled you back into compromise. And God is serious about what he's building through you now. Listen, chosen one, this season requires speed, but not panic. Focus, but not obsession. Faith, but not passivity. God is saying, move when I say move. Speak when I say speak. Let go when I say let go. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the next step. You only need to trust the one who ordered the steps. And he has never failed you, even when it felt like he was silent. Silence is not absence. Sometimes silence is God training you to trust without constant reassurance. You've reached a level where hand-holding would limit you. So now he speaks differently. Through nudges, through repetition, through moments like this where something hits your spirit and you know it's for you, even if no one else understands why you're suddenly emotional, suddenly alert, suddenly aware that this is not just content, it's confirmation. God put this in front of you fast because delay has been breaking your momentum. Every time you talked yourself out of action, you felt it. Every time you ignored the inner push, something felt off. That's alignment being disrupted. You are not meant to live in constant hesitation. You are meant to move with intention, and intention requires decision. Decision is the doorway. Once you decide, provision follows, clarity follows, strength follows. But you don't get clarity before commitment, you get it after. That's the part people misunderstand. They want God to explain everything before they obey. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith moves, then sees. Obedience first, evidence second. You are closer than you think. The breakthrough you've been praying for isn't far away. It's behind the action you've been postponing, the conversation you've been avoiding, the step you've been minimizing. The version of you keep promising you'll become soon. Soon is now. Now is your moment. This doesn't mean everything will suddenly be easy. Chosen paths are rarely easy, but they are meaningful. They are powerful. They are worth it. And you didn't come this far to stop at the edge of transformation. You didn't survive what you survived just to settle into comfort and call it peace. Peace isn't avoidance. Peace is alignment. And alignment sometimes requires uncomfortable obedience. God trusts you with more because you've proven faithful with less. He's seen what you did when no one was watching. He's seen how you kept your integrity when shortcuts were available. He's seen how you kept your heart soft in hard seasons. That's why the assignment is increasing. That's why the weight feels heavier. Greater impact requires greater capacity. But hear this clearly, you are not doing this alone. You may feel alone at times, misunderstood, unsupported, even isolated. But isolation is not abandonment. Sometimes God isolates to insulate, to protect you from voices that would dilute your conviction, to protect you from distractions that would drain your focus, to protect what's growing inside you until it's strong enough to stand on its own. You don't need everyone to go with you. You just need the courage to go without them. The right connections will meet you on the road, not before it. And when they do, you'll recognize them by the way they sharpen you, not flatter you. By the way they push you forward, not pull you back. This is why God needed you to listen fast. Because the window is opening, because the season is changing, because what you've been sensing is about to become visible. And visibility requires readiness, not perfection, but readiness. A willing heart, a decisive mind, a spirit that says, I'm ready to move when you say move. You don't have to announce it to everyone. You don't have to explain the shift. Just obey. Let the fruit speak. Let the results answer questions. Let your consistency silence doubt. People will understand later when they see what obedience produced. Right now, your job is to stay sensitive. Don't numb yourself. Don't distract yourself out of awareness. Don't drown the call with noise. Protect your focus. Protect your energy. Protect your faith. Not everyone deserves access to you in this season. Not every invitation is aligned. Not every opportunity is God ordained. Learn to say no without guilt. Learn to rest without apology. Learn to move without waiting for applause. The ones who are meant to benefit from your obedience may not clap at the start. They'll thank you later when your courage opens doors they didn't know were possible. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to live small. You were never meant to spend your life shrinking to make others comfortable. That discomfort you feel when you try to play it safe is your spirit rejecting limitation. You are expanding, and expansion feels uncomfortable before it feels powerful. God put this in front of you because He knows you're ready. Even if you don't feel like it yet. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision to trust God more than your fear, a decision to act even when your voice shakes, a decision to step forward even when the path is still forming under your feet. This is the moment where you stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And start asking, what if it does? What if obedience changes everything? What if this step unlocks the next 5? What if the courage you show now becomes the testimony that carries someone else later? You don't need to rush, but you do need to move. You don't need to know everything, but you do need to trust something. And that something is the God who has been guiding you all along, even through the confusion, even through the waiting, even through the moments you thought you were off track. You are not off track. You are right on time. And this message is not here to entertain you. It's here to activate you, to wake something up, to remind you who you are and what you carry, to pull you out of hesitation and back into alignment. So take a breath. Let this settle. Feel the weight of it, not as pressure, but as purpose. And as you move forward from this moment, stay alert, stay obedient, stay grounded, because what's coming next will require your full attention. And the next step God is about to reveal will ask you to trust Him in a way that feels unfamiliar, because it will stretch you beyond the last version of yourself. and into a space where the old habits no longer fit, the old fears no longer have authority, and the old identity can no longer lead, which is why the stirring inside you keeps growing stronger, why the pull forward feels more intense, and why even now, as you're listening, there's a quiet but firm sense that something specific is being asked of you, something you already know, something you've been circling around, something. That requires you to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start honoring the present one. Because the present moment is where obedience begins and where everything starts to shift. Because obedience doesn't announce itself with fireworks, it whispers with clarity, and clarity is what you're being given right now. Not confusion, not chaos, clarity, the kind that cuts through excuses and lands directly on the truth you've been avoiding. You already know what needs to be done. You already know what needs to change. You already know what step has been delayed long enough. God is not vague with chosen ones at this stage. When the time comes, He makes it plain. And plain truth can feel uncomfortable because it removes the option to pretend you didn't hear. That's why your spirit feels alert right now. That's why something inside you is saying, pay attention. This is not meant to scare you. It's meant to sharpen you. You are stepping into a season where distraction will cost more than it ever has before, where half commitment will drain you, where double-mindedness will slow you down. You are being invited into alignment, and alignment demands honesty with yourself. You can't keep saying you want change while protecting the habits that keep you the same. You can't keep praying for elevation while refusing correction. You can't keep asking God for more while gripping tightly to what He's already asked you to release. Growth has a price, and chosen ones feel that price more deeply because the calling is heavier. But hear this clearly, you are strong enough for what's being asked of you. God does not misjudge capacity. If He's calling you forward, it's because He knows you can carry it, even if you don't feel ready yet. Feeling ready is not the requirement. Being willing is, and willingness is already rising in you, even if fear is trying to talk louder. Fear always speaks first. It lists the risks, it replays the past, it highlights what could go wrong, but faith speaks last, quietly, steadily, with authority. Faith says you've survived worse. Faith says you didn't come this far by accident. Faith says if God brought you to this moment, He will meet you in the next one. And faith is what you're being asked to listen to now. There is a separation happening in your life, whether you realize it or not. A separation between what aligns with your future and what only made sense in your past. And separation can feel lonely before it feels liberating. It can feel like loss before it feels like freedom. But what's leaving is not being taken from you, it's being lifted off you. Some burdens you've been carrying were never meant to go with you into this next season. Some expectations were never yours to fulfill. Some L's were placed on you by people who only knew a fragment of your story. God is redefining you beyond their limited perspective. And that's why you can't afford to stay attached to old definitions. You are not who you were when you first started praying for this. You are not who you were when the dream was born. You've matured. You've been refined. You've been tested. And tests don't come to destroy you. They come to reveal what's ready. You passed more tests than you realize. You stayed when leaving would have been easier. You kept your integrity when compromise would have been quicker. You kept believing when doubt made more sense. Those choices mattered. God put this in front of you fast because there is momentum available right now. Momentum that comes when heaven and earth align around obedience. But momentum requires movement. You can't experience forward motion while standing still. And standing still has become more dangerous than moving imperfectly. You've learned enough, you've waited enough, you've analyzed enough. Now it's time to apply, to act, to step, to trust that God will adjust you as you go. He is not asking for flawless execution. He is asking for faithful participation. You are allowed to grow out loud. You are allowed to learn as you move. You are allowed to change your mind when God redirects you. Perfectionism has been one of your quiet delays, the need to get it exactly right before starting. But growth doesn't happen in theory. It happens in motion. This season is about embodiment, living what you say you believe, aligning your actions with your prayers, matching your habits to your calling. You don't need to announce this shift. You need to live it consistently. Consistency is louder than declarations, and consistency is what will build what lasts. People may not recognize you at first. They may question the change. They may resist the new boundaries. But that resistance is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is obedience. Your responsibility is stewardship of what God has entrusted to you. And that includes your time, your energy, your focus, and your faith. You've been giving too much access to things that drain you and not enough access to what builds you. That has to change. Not gradually, decisively. You can't afford to leak energy in this season. The assignment requires clarity and strength. God is not calling you to be busy, He's calling you to be effective. Busy is distraction. Effective is aligned action. There's a difference, and you felt the frustration of being busy without progress. That frustration was a signal, not a failure. A signal that it's time to refine, to focus, to choose depth over noise. This is where discipline becomes your ally. Not rigid control, but intentional structure. Choosing what you consume, choosing what you entertain, choosing what you give your attention to. Attention is currency. What you focus on grows, and what you starve loses power. You don't need to fight every battle. Some battles are won by walking away. Some distractions are defeated by silence. Some temptations lose their grip when you stop feeding them with attention. Maturity is knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. God trusts you with this awareness because you're ready to lead yourself before you lead others, before you influence more. Leadership starts internally, and internal leadership requires honesty. The kind of honesty that admits where you've been inconsistent, where you've been avoiding discomfort, where you've been settling for familiar instead of faithful. This is not condemnation. This is invitation. An invitation to step fully into who you are becoming, not who you were surviving as. Survival mode kept you alive, but it won't take you where you're called. Ed to go. Thriving requires a different posture, a different mindset, a different level of responsibility. You are being stretched because expansion is happening, and stretching feels uncomfortable before it feels natural. Don't retreat just because it feels unfamiliar. Growth always feels unfamiliar at first. If it felt comfortable, it wouldn't be growth. God put this in front of you because He knows you're listening now. There were moments before when you wouldn't have heard this. You would have dismissed it. You would have scrolled past it. You would have rationalized it away. But something has changed. Your ears are open. Your spirit is alert. Your heart is ready. That readiness didn't come overnight. It came through endurance, through disappointment, through unanswered prayers that forced you to deepen your faith instead of abandoning it. You've been shaped quietly, and now quietly the shift is beginning. You don't need to rush the outcome. Just honor the process, honor the daily obedience, honor the small steps, honor the quiet discipline that no one applauds. Those are the things that build foundations strong enough to carry what's coming. And what's coming will require stability, not emotional highs and lows, not inconsistency, not burnout, stability, a grounded spirit, a clear mind, a heart anchored in truth. That's why God is refining you now before the increase, not after. You've prayed for influence. Influence requires integrity. You've prayed for provision. Provision requires stewardship. You've prayed for impact. Impact requires sacrifice. God is answering your prayers, but His answers come packaged as preparation. Preparation often looks like pressure, like pruning, like delay that develops patience, like silence that builds trust. And trust is the currency of the next season. Trust in God, trust in the process, trust in the growth happening. Ben, when you can't measure it yet, you are not behind, you are being aligned, you are not late, you are being refined, you are not forgotten, you're being prepared. And preparation is active, not passive. So stay awake in this season, spiritually awake, emotionally aware, mentally disciplined. Don't numb yourself when things get uncomfortable. Sit with the discomfort long enough to learn from it. There is wisdom in it, direction in it, instruction in it. God is not asking you to be fearless. He's asking you to be faithful. Fear may show up, but it doesn't get to decide. Faith decides, obedience decides, alignment decides. And as you continue forward from this moment, you will notice small confirmations begin to appear. Not loud miracles, but quiet reinforcements. A conversation, a thought, an opportunity, a sense of peace when you choose what's right instead of what's easy. Those are signs you're on the right path. Don't ignore them. Don't minimize them. Gratitude sharpens awareness. Awareness strengthens obedience. And obedience unlocks the next instruction. This is how God leads chosen ones, step by step, not with full maps, but with daily bread. Enough for today, enough light for the next step. And as long as you keep moving, the path will continue to unfold because movement invites guidance, and guidance invites growth. And growth requires you to stay willing, stay teachable, stay humble, even as you become stronger, because strength without humility becomes pride, and pride disconnects you from the very source that empowered you, which is why this season is also teaching you how to stay grounded while you rise, how to remain soft while you become firm, how to stay obedient while your confidence grows, and how to keep listening even as your voice becomes clearer, because listening is what keeps you aligned, and alignment is what keeps everything flowing. And the moment you stop listening is the moment resistance increases, not because God leaves, but because you step out of rhythm, and rhythm matters now more than ever. because what's ahead will require you to move in sync with divine timing, not personal urgency. And that timing will sometimes feel slow and sometimes feel fast, but it will always be precise, always intentional, always purposeful. And as long as you stay responsive, stay present, stay willing to adjust, you will continue to be guided into spaces that once felt unreachable, into conversations that once felt intimidating, into opportunities that once felt too big, and into a version of yourself that you are only beginning to recognize, because the old limits no longer apply, the old fears no longer lead, and the old identity can no longer contain what is growing inside you now, which is why the pressure feels different, the call feels stronger, and the urgency feels real, because something is unfolding, something is aligning, something is being activated, and your role in it is not to understand everything at once, but to keep showing up, keep listening, keep moving, and keep trusting, even when the next step stretches you further than the last. Because stretching is the language of growth, and growth never asks for permission from comfort. Comfort would rather you stay where you are, replay what's familiar, repeat what feels safe, but safety is not the same as purpose. Safety preserves, purpose transforms. And you were not created merely to preserve yourself. You were created to become something more than you were yesterday, something stronger than your doubts, something clearer than your fears. Right now, you are standing at a quiet threshold. It doesn't look dramatic from the outside. No loud signs, no public announcements, just an inner awareness that you can't keep living the same way and expect a different future. That awareness is sacred. Don't rush past it. Don't drown it out with noise. This is where direction is born. You may feel torn between who you've been and who you're becoming. That tension is not a problem, it's a signal. It means the old version of you no longer fits, but the new version is still forming. And formation takes patience, it takes repetition, it takes trust in the unseen work happening beneath the surface. You don't have to force this transformation, you just have to cooperate with it. Resistance creates exhaustion, cooperation creates flow. When you stop fighting the process and start trusting it, things begin to align in ways you couldn't have planned. Not because everything becomes easy, but because everything becomes meaningful. There will be moments when you question yourself, moments when you wonder if you're imagining this call, if you're overthinking, if you should just go back to what was simpler. But simpler is not always better. Sometimes simpler was smaller, and you didn't survive everything, you survived just to shrink. You've already outgrown certain conversations. You've already outgrown certain patterns. You've already outgrown certain environments. That discomfort you feel when you revisit them is not arrogance, it's awareness. Awareness that your spirit needs more room than those spaces can offer. God is teaching you discernment in this season. Not everyone who smiles with you is meant to walk with you. Not every open door is meant to be entered. Discernment will protect your energy and direct your focus. And focus is essential now. Scattered effort produces scattered results. But focused intention creates momentum. That's why God keeps bringing you back to the same core instruction. Simplify, prioritize, align, do fewer things with greater purpose. Let go of what looks good but pulls you off track. You may feel pressure to prove yourself, to show progress, to justify your decisions. But proof is not your assignment. Obedience is. When you move with integrity, the results will speak louder than explanations ever could. This season will test your ability to trust quietly, to work without immediate recognition, to stay committed when validation is delayed. But delayed validation does not mean denied impact. Some of the most powerful transformations happen in obscurity. Obscurity is not punishment, it's protection. It's a place where roots grow deep without interruption, and deep roots are necessary for what's coming. Surface level strength won't sustain you where you're going. You're being trained to stand firm when opinions shift, to stay steady when emotions fluctuate, to remain anchored when circumstances are uncertain. That steadiness is not something you can fake. It's built through daily choices, small disciplines, repeated obedience. Every day you choose alignment over convenience, you are reinforcing the foundation of your future. Every time you listen instead of react, you gain clarity. Every time you act with intention, you gain confidence. Confidence grows from evidence, and the evidence is built through action. You are learning to trust your inner compass again, not impulsively, but prayerfully, not recklessly, but faithfully. That compass has been calibrated through experience, through failure, through endurance. It's more reliable now than it's ever been. Stop doubting the wisdom you earned the hard way. Stop minimizing the growth that came through pain. Those lessons were costly, but they were not wasted. They equipped you. They sharpened you. They prepared you for discernment that others don't yet have. God put this in front of you because He knows you're capable of choosing differently now. You're no longer reacting from wounds. You're responding from WI. And that changes everything. You don't need to rush the timeline, but you do need to respect it. When something feels urgent in your spirit, it's often because delay would create unnecessary resistance. Flow requires responsiveness. When you sense the nudge, honor it. This doesn't mean you abandon discernment. It means you don't ignore conviction. Conviction is not pressure, it's guidance. Pressure feels chaotic. Guidance feels clear even when it's challenging. Pay attention to what brings you peace when you think about doing it, even if it scares you. That peace is a compass. Fear will always show up at the edge of growth, but peace confirms alignment. You may not feel strong every day. Strength is not a constant feeling. It's a consistent choice. Some days you move boldly. Some days you move quietly. Both count. Both matter. Consistency is what compounds over time. You are being invited into a deeper level of self-responsibility. Not self-blame, but ownership. Ownership of your choices, ownership of your time, ownership of your reactions, ownership of your direction. Blaming circumstances will keep you stuck. Owning your power will move you forward. And power in this context is not dominance. It's clarity. The clarity to choose intentionally instead of reactively. You've spent enough time reacting. Now it's time to respond. Respond to life with wisdom instead of emotion. Respond to challenges with strategy instead of panic. Respond to opportunity with courage instead of doubt. This is what maturity looks like. Not perfection, but intentionality. Not control, but alignment. Not knowing everything, but trusting enough to move. God is shaping your character as much as your calling. Because calling without character creates collapse. And you are being built to last, to endure pressure without losing yourself, to grow without becoming rigid, to succeed without forgetting humility. Humility keeps you teachable. Teachable people keep growing. Growing people keep evolving. And evolution is essential for longevity. You don't have to compare your path to anyone else's. Comparison distorts perspective. What looks fast for someone else may be shallow. What looks slow for you may be deep. Depth takes time. Trust the pace of your own becoming. Trust the rhythm God is setting for you. It may not match what you see around you, but it matches what you need. There will be moments when you feel alone in your decisions. Moments when others don't understand why you're saying no, why you're pulling back, why you're focusing differently, but solitude in decision-making often precedes clarity in direction. You are learning to hear God's voice above the noise of expectation. And that skill will serve you for the rest of your life. External noise changes. Divine guidance remains consistent. Stay grounded, stay disciplined. Stay soft-hearted but firm-minded. Don't let disappointment harden you. Don't let success inflate you. Let both refine you. You are allowed to change your mind when new wisdom emerges. That's not weakness, that's growth. Rigidity is fear pretending to be strength. Flexibility rooted in truth is real strength. As you continue forward, you may notice old temptations trying to resurface, old distractions trying to regain access. That's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that those patterns no longer own you, so they're trying to get your attention one last time. Don't negotiate with what you've already outgrown. Close the door gently but firmly. You don't need to fight it. Just don't feed it. Your future requires clarity. Clarity requires boundaries. Boundaries require courage. And courage is being strengthened in you daily, even when you don't notice it. God put this message in front of you because something crystallizing inside you, a resolve, a steadiness, a knowing that you can't ignore anymore. That knowing will become the backbone of your next season. You won't always feel inspired. Inspiration is fleeting. Discipline carries you when inspiration fades. Build systems that support your calling, habits that reinforce alignment, environments that encourage growth. You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. Start with one intentional change, one aligned decision, one disciplined action. Small steps taken consistently create massive shifts over time. You are not late to your life. You are arriving more consciously. And conscious living creates meaningful impact. There is more ahead of you than behind you. Even if your past feels heavy, it does not outweigh your future. The future is being shaped right now by the choices you make in moments like this. Listen closely to what your spirit is responding to, not with anxiety, but with recognition. Recognition that this is for you. Recognition that this matters. Recognition that you are being called to show up differently. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become more fully yourself. The version of you that is honest, grounded, courageous, aligned, that version has been forming quietly, patiently, faithfully. And as you continue to move forward, you will notice your tolerance for misalignment decreasing. What you once ignored will now bother you. What you once accepted will now feel heavy. That's growth, not judgment. Honor it, respect it. Let it guide you into healthier patterns, clearer decisions, stronger boundaries. This is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming present. Present to your purpose, present to your values, present to the moment you're in. God is not rushing you, but He is calling you to respond, to stay awake, to stay engaged, to stay obedient. Because what is unfolding now is connected to what you've been praying for longer than you realize. And the answers are not coming as sudden miracles, but as invitations to step into responsibility, clarity, and courage, which means the next phase of your life will not be handed to you fully formed, but revealed to you step by step as you continue to move in alignment. Because movement is what keeps the guidance flowing, obedience is what keeps the path opening, and trust is what keeps you steady when the terrain shifts. And as long as you keep choosing to listen, choosing to move, choosing to stay aligned even when it costs you comfort, you will continue to find yourself positioned in places you once only imagined, carrying a strength you once prayed for, and walking with a clarity that did not come from avoiding fear, but from moving through it with faith still intact, still growing, still alive, still responsive as the journey continues to unfold. Chosen one, let this settle into you, not as motivation that fades, but as truth that anchors. What you've heard is not meant to pass through you, it's meant to stay with you, to shape how you move, how you choose, how you respond when the moment demands courage instead of comfort. This is the line in the sand where you stop waiting for clarity and start honoring the clarity you already have. You are not standing at the beginning by accident, and you are not standing here unprepared. Everything you've walked through has been aligning you for this exact season, this exact call, this exact responsibility. From this moment forward, move with intention. Let your actions speak louder than your fears. Let your consistency answer questions before they're asked. You don't need to prove who you are. You need to live it. Stay obedient when it's quiet. Stay disciplined when it's hard. Stay humble when momentum builds. The same God who carried you through uncertainty will guide you through expansion. And as long as you keep listening, keep trusting, and keep moving in alignment, you will find yourself stepping into rooms you once prayed about, standing in strength you once lacked, and living in purpose that no longer feels distant, because it has finally met you where obedience and faith became action, and where the next chapter truly begins.